Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. If you're a coin collector or just someone who's curious about the history and value of US currency, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a coin that holds historical significance and is still floating around in circulation, the 1976 USA 1-cent coin, or as we commonly call it, the penny. This particular year is special for more than one reason, and we're going to explore what makes it stand out, its value today, and how it fits into the larger story of American coinage. Let's start with the basics. The 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, has been around since 1793, but by 1976, the design had undergone numerous changes. However, it was this year, 1976, that marked a unique moment in American history. It was the United States bicentennial, celebrating 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. To honor this monumental occasion, the U.S. Mint decided to create a special version of the penny. This wasn't just about the penny itself, it was about making the coin part of a larger celebration. While the design of the penny didn't change drastically, a key modification was made to commemorate the bicentennial. Let me show you what makes the 1976 penny stand out. Typically, the penny features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. But in 1976, an additional touch was added. On the reverse side, you'll notice a slight difference. Instead of the usual wheat ears, the reverse of the 1976 penny still features the Lincoln Memorial, but it carries the special inscription A Pluribus Unum with the year 1976 beneath it, alongside a small touch of history. This modification was subtle, but it was part of the Mint's bicentennial celebration, tying the penny to the nation's 200th birthday. Now, let's get into the juicy part, its value. You may be wondering, with all the hype around the bicentennial and a special design, does this 1976 penny have any extra value over the ones from previous years? Well, like most coins, the value of a 1976 penny depends largely on its condition. Most of the 1976 pennies in circulation today are in what's called circulated condition. This means they've been used in day-to-day transactions, and they're usually worth only 1 cent. That's right, despite its bicentennial connection, these coins have a very modest circulated value. For a circulated 1976 penny, you're looking at a value of around 1 cent, just like any other penny you'll find in your pocket. But don't be discouraged just yet, because as with all coins, condition matters. If you happen to come across a 1976 penny in mint condition, meaning it's well preserved and shows no signs of wear, it could fetch a bit more. A 1976 penny in uncirculated condition could be worth anywhere from 10 cents to 50 cents, depending on the specific quality and how it has been stored over the years. Coins that are in near-perfect condition or have been graded by professional coin graders could have a much higher value, but we're still talking small numbers here compared to rarer coins. However, things get more interesting when we talk about special variations. The 1976 penny, like other coins from that era, was minted at different locations, specifically the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Most of the pennies you'll find are from the Philadelphia Mint, which produced the standard 1976 pennies. But if you find a 1976 penny with a D mint mark, it means it came from the Denver Mint. The value of these mint mark variations is not drastically different unless they are in mint condition or if you come across a specific error coin. For instance, a 1976 penny with a double die error, where the design appears to be doubled, can be worth significantly more to collectors. If you're into coin collecting or just curious about the value of your spare change, it's important to keep in mind that, even though the 1976 penny doesn't carry a huge premium, it's still part of U.S. coinage history. Some of these coins, especially in excellent condition, may become more valuable over time, especially as the years pass and fewer of these coins are found in circulation. Recap, the 1976 penny, in its circulated form, is worth just 1 cent, like most pennies in circulation. However, if you're lucky enough to find one in uncirculated or mint condition, it could be worth a bit more, perhaps 10 to 50 cents. And, if you come across a rare error or a low mintage variety, such as a double die or proof coin, you could see a higher value. So, while the 1976 penny may not be the most valuable coin in your collection, it's a neat piece of history that marks the 200th anniversary of the United States. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone looking to learn more about American currency, I hope this video helped shed some light on the value and significance of the 1976 1-cent coin. The 1-cent coin was first authorized by the Coinage Act of 1792, which led to the creation of the first U.S. mint in Philadelphia. The first pennies, known as the large cents, were produced starting in 1793. These early coins were much larger than the modern penny, and they featured images like the Liberty Cap and a chain or shield design. The size of the penny gradually decreased over time as coin designs evolved, and by the mid-1800s, the small cent, a smaller, lighter coin, replaced the large cent due to rising production costs. In 1856, the U.S. Mint began producing the Indian head penny, which featured a profile of Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress. This design remained in circulation until 1909, when it was replaced by the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln cent, designed by Victor David Brenner, was first issued in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design features a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, front, with the inscription, "In God We Trust," which became a required element on U.S. coins starting in 1864. The reverse, back, of the Lincoln cent originally depicted two wheat stalks, earning it the nickname the wheat penny. This design was in circulation from 1909 until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design, which continued to be used until 2008. The 1976 penny stands out because it coincides with the bicentennial of the United States, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. However, there was no significant change to the penny's design during this year. The primary design feature of the penny, which is Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, remained the same. What set the 1976 penny apart was the year it was minted, the bicentennial year. This, however, didn't result in a dramatic design shift, unlike the changes seen in quarters, half dollars, and other denominations which received special designs for the bicentennial. The reverse design for many coins, including the quarter, half dollar, and dollar, was changed to reflect the bicentennial, but the penny kept the Lincoln Memorial. The 1976 penny was minted at both the Philadelphia Mint, without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, with a D mint mark, as was the case with most coins of this era. 1. Obverse, front. The obverse continues to feature Abraham Lincoln's profile, as designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. The inscriptions around Lincoln's portrait include, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and 1976, with the mint mark P or D below the date depending on where it was produced. 2. Reverse, back. The reverse of the 1976 penny still features the Lincoln Memorial, which had been in use since 1959. Unlike the bicentennial designs on some other U.S. coins, there was no change to the reverse of the penny in 1976, despite the bicentennial theme. 3. Mint marks. The Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint marked theirs with a D. There are no other major differences between the two mints regarding the 1976 pennies. For most people, the 1976 penny remains a common coin that circulates like any other penny in circulated condition. The 1976 penny is still worth just 1 cent, which is its face value. If you happen to find a 1976 penny in uncirculated condition, you may be able to sell it for a bit more than face value, ranging from 10 to 50 cents, depending on the quality. Coins in mint condition or those graded highly by professional organizations can sell for a little more, especially among collectors looking for well-preserved pieces. Like many coins, the 1976 penny has also had its share of errors and special variations, although these are relatively rare. For example, there are cases where the coin has a double die error or other minting flaws, which can increase its value considerably for collectors. Despite its low value, the penny continues to be in circulation today, although there has been ongoing debate about whether the U.S. government should discontinue the coin due to its rising production costs and its lack of purchasing power. However, no definitive action has been taken as of now, and the penny remains a part of U.S. currency. The 1976 penny holds a special place in U.S. coinage history due to the bicentennial celebrations of the United States, though the coin itself didn't see any significant design changes compared to other years. For collectors and history enthusiasts alike, it's a reminder of the nation's rich heritage and its ongoing legacy in the world of numismatics. Whether you're lucky enough to find a high-grade uncirculated penny or simply have a few in your coin jar, the 1976 penny remains a fascinating piece of American history. The 1960 U.S. 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln penny. The 1960 Lincoln penny is an interesting one.
Why?
Well, it marks the beginning of the 1960s, a decade full of changes in the United States, including the introduction of some new coinage designs. But the 1960 penny itself is part of a long tradition, first struck in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Back in 1960, the U.S. Mint was still producing pennies with a design that had been in place since 1959, the Memorial Reverse, featuring the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., on the back. The obverse, or front of the coin, still features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which has been in place since 1909. Now, if you have a 1960 penny lying around in your collection or in a jar of change, you might be wondering, what's it worth? Well, the value of the 1960 penny largely depends on its condition and whether it has any rare variations. For the average, circulated 1960 penny, you're looking at a value of around 1 cent. Yes, that's right, face value. These coins were minted in large quantities, so if it's in well-worn condition with little detail, it's not going to fetch much more. But here's the twist: if your 1960 penny is in good condition, especially if it's graded at a higher level, such as MS65 or higher, its value can increase. For example, a well-preserved 1960 penny in MS65 could be worth between $2 to $5, depending on the current market. That's quite a jump from its face value. But wait, there's more. As with many coins, there are some rare variations that make the 1960 penny particularly intriguing to collectors. One of the key variants you should look for is the difference in mint marks. The 1960 penny was minted in 3 places: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If you find a 1960 penny with an S mint mark, you've got something a little more unique, as it was struck at the San Francisco Mint. These can sometimes be worth a bit more in good condition, especially if they're in higher grades. Additionally, there are also certain 1960 pennies with unique die variations. For example, a famous variety is the 1960 large date and small date variety. The small date penny has a slightly smaller date and is much rarer than the large date variety, so if you come across a small date penny, it could be worth more, especially if it's in mint condition. When it comes to determining the value of a 1960 penny, the condition of the coin is critical. The U.S. Mint uses a grading scale to assess coins, and this will play a big role in how much a coin is worth. Coins are graded from poor, P, to mint state, MS, with multiple levels in between. For example, a penny in very good, VG, or fine, F, condition might fetch around 2 to 5 cents, whereas a coin in MS65 or higher can jump up to $2 to $5 or even more. So, if you've got a 1960 penny sitting in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Check the mint mark, look for any unique die variations, and most importantly, assess the condition. A well-preserved 1960 penny could be more valuable than you think. To understand the value of the 1960 Lincoln cent, we need to take a step back in time. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait, a big deal at the time. The reverse of those early coins had the famous wheat ears design, which lasted until 1958. But starting in 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint replaced the wheat ears with the image of the Lincoln Memorial, creating a brand new reverse that we still associate with classic pennies today. The 1960 penny was only the second year to feature this new design. It was struck during a period of post-war economic growth and was part of a major effort by the U.S. Mint to produce enough coins to keep up with booming commerce. That year, the Mint produced the 1-cent coin at 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, mint mark. Though San Francisco struck only proof coins for collectors. Another unique thing about 1960? There were 2 different date sizes released that year: the small date and large date varieties. These slight differences were the result of engraving changes, but they've become a key distinction for collectors today. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1980 USA 1-cent coin, one of the most common yet fascinating coins found in circulation. You might have one lying around in your drawer, but do you know what it's really worth? Stick around as we break down its circulated value, historical background, metal composition, mint marks, and what makes it desirable to collectors even today. Let's get started. First off, let's take a closer look at the coin itself. The 1980 Lincoln cent features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, originally designed by Victor David Brenner way back in 1909. The reverse still displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday, created by Frank Gasparo. Lincoln's portrait, the words, "In God We Trust," the word * liberty, and the date, 1980, depending on the mint. You might also see a mint mark under the year. Now, let's talk numbers. How many of these coins were made? In 1980, over 12.7 billion 1-cent coins were produced across 3 U.S. mints: Philadelphia Mint ***, no mint mark; over 7.4 billion coins Denver Mint ***, marked with a D; over 5.1 billion San Francisco Mint ***, marked with an S; around 3.5 million. But only for proof coins. So yes, this coin is very common in circulation, but there's still some room for collectors to get excited. Why 1980? The Lincoln cent was still being struck from 95%. Copper and 5% zinc ***, a composition that had been in use since 1962, but here's the twist. 1982 would be the turning point, when the mint switched to copper-plated zinc coins due to rising metal costs, so the 1980 Lincoln cent is one of the last fully copper cents, making it slightly more interesting for those who stack copper coins for metal value. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19.05 mm in diameter. Alright, now let's talk about what you're here for, the circulated value *** of a 1980 Lincoln cent. In general, circulated 1980 pennies ***, both P and D mint marks, are still worth just 1 cent as legal tender. But if you're saving them for their metal content, the story changes. With copper prices fluctuating, the melt value of the coin is often around 2 to 3 cents. Yes, up to 3x face value. However, melting pennies is illegal in the US, so this is more for informational purposes or future speculation. Fun fact: many coin hoarders still save pre-1982 copper pennies in bulk, hoping for a future law change. So when does the 1980 penny become worth more than a cent? Let's talk about condition and error coins. Proof 1980 Lincoln cents ***. These are beautiful mirror-finished coins made for collectors. In PR 65 condition, they're worth $1 to $3, but here's where it gets exciting: rare errors that increase value, off-center strikes ***, double die obverse, DDO, ***, clipped planchets ***, die breaks ***, between the letters B and E in Liberty. These errors can fetch between $5 and $100 plus, depending on severity and clarity. Oh, the big question is, should you keep your 1980 pennies? If it's heavily worn and common, probably not worth much more than a cent. But if it's uncirculated, or has a visible mint error, then it's definitely a keeper or even a seller. And if you're a copper hoarder, yes, it's part of the pre-1982 club, and that means something in the copper stacking community. To sum it all up, the 1980 Lincoln cent is a common coin, but it's got history, metal value, and even collectible interest if you know what to look for. So next time you find a penny on the sidewalk, check the year. It might be worth more than you think. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to, and tap the notification bell *** so you never miss a video on coin values, history, and hidden treasures in your pocket change.